All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the committee, Growth Fund Committee for, what is today? June 15th, 2006. All right. So first item is roll call.
Berg. Here. Query.
Here.
Friedolfs.
Here.
Osowski. Here. Wallowak. Whitney. Here. And Wolf.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Second item, minutes, meeting of April 20th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ooh, that was close. I go first to Amy, second to Tricia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, our minutes are approved. Item number 3, business park lot purchase termination for Ideal Aerosmith.
Thank you, Chair. This is an item that we have been working on. I think originally we approved this to move forward in June of 24. Last fall, they asked for an extension. They were still doing, I'll say, intensive testing on that site. They had some very specific criteria, some sensitivity analysis that they were doing. Unfortunately, just didn't work out. So they have, as the purchase agreement had called for, and they're exercising that option to terminate the contract. So with that, we are recommending approval. It is unfortunate. There's nothing wrong with the land, just with their specific purpose. It was just a little bit high standard that we just weren't able to hit. I'll stand for any questions.
All right, yeah, I know they did some very specific vibration testing, and so
Correct.
I know there was trains or cars or whatever was affecting what they're
Both the interstate and the railroad tracks.
Let's do it. Do we have anyone else? So the property comes back to the city.
Correct. It'll stay with the city. It never actually did transfer. Right now, there is that $100,000 that's sitting in an account with the title team, and that'll just be returned to them as with the recommended action that we have.
Any questions? Yes, Rebecca.
Yeah, I have a question. Is that $100,000 like the earnest money?
Correct. It would have went towards the purchase price.
Okay. I guess I'm kind of wondering how much time and effort the city has put in to all of this just to have Ideal Aerospace back out. You know, are we taking that into consideration with any of the earnest money? Are we, I mean, because it doesn't sound like we're going to keep any of it, but I know that, you know, we spend a lot of time on these. I mean, Mr. Gosted is not a cheap man, and he does a lot of work on some of these. And then just to, I mean, I'm sad that it didn't work out, and ultimately I would like them to purchase it, but, you know, didn't we just have another company back out on one of these lots also? And so I'm just kind of wondering, like, should we do something to maybe protect ourselves so we can make up the difference and it's not just being paid for by the taxpayer?
Sure. So there are some protections that we have, but there are some costs too of doing business in this case. So there are some sunk costs that, you know, staff time is sunk. But, you know, if I wasn't working on this, I think people keep me busy with lots of other things. But those are some of the sunk costs that we end up with. We do have some platting costs that we had started. But at this point, it's we have not filed that plat as of now. We did hold back, kind of waiting just to see if this was going to hit approval point. So we'll not record the plat, and we'll hold that. And hopefully we will find another buyer. The purchase price on this are going right now is $5 a square. So from that benefit, it is escalated in value in the time that we've held on to it. I think I can't remember what the price was on this, if it was $3.25, but we are up to $5 a square, and we have had one property, the recent one with Huebner, that looks to close later on this week. That one is proceeding, so we are selling them now at $5 a square.
Okay. But do we have an estimate on the sunk cost, as you would like to say? I just anything.
Yeah, I would have checked purchase agreement price, what we've put into it, and I don't know if Dan would know some of those costs off the top of his head.
I don't know the exact number, but I can't imagine it took me more than a couple hours to draft.
Okay.
This. There was probably some back and forth a little bit with their attorney, but it wasn't like a significant amount of money that was charged to draft the agreement. And that was my role.
Okay.
So,
I guess maybe going forward, can we put something in there, even if it's just like $5,000 that, just to make up for some of the costs that we're doing? I mean, it's not free, and it ultimately goes back to the taxpayer. And I mean, this, like I said, this is the second company that's kind of backed out recently that we have put our time and energy in. And I know we want to be good neighbors and, good partners, but at the same time, we don't want to keep digging ourselves, in a hole. And so I guess going forward, I'd like to see, with some of these agreements, just, even like $5,000, if that's all it is, that we're spending between, Mr. Brooks and Mr. Gosted, Mr. Phelan, all their time. I would like to see us try to recoup some of those costs going forward. I mean, obviously, it's a little too late for Ideal because we already had that agreement, but I guess going forward, that would be something I would be very interested in doing, just to, save ourselves a little bit and not just pass these failed attempts onto the taxpayer.
Sure,
So,
I understand your request.
thank you. Otherwise, I move approval.
Second, I guess.
You had a comment also?
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to, sorry, Todd. Okay.
Mr. Phelan, it looked like
Yeah.
he had a comment.
Open for a comment then?
Yeah, open for comment.
So maybe just kind of a comment, and to Mrs. Houskey's this would be more like philosophical. So the fact that the city does, and I think it's kind of the current city council and administration's prerogative is to try to divest. We don't want to be in the private sector, but that is just a cost of doing business too. So, I mean, and I think also to your point, which I've always respect and appreciated, always looking out for the taxpayer, the dollar. Well, that revenue dollars also come to the taxpayer. So when they sell, so I mean, maybe it's delayed that we have some sunk costs as we go, but then when when we do make those sales, that also funnels back in, right? So it's kind of just, I mean, it's just kind of the cost of doing business. But to be said, it's all negotiable, right? So in the purchase agreement, we can try to do that. Now, is that going to deter or detract somebody from putting an offer on the property? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, we can try to do those on the front end. But again, I think that'd be a conversation that would be a contractual stipulation that possibly going forward. But anyway, I do appreciate the concern for the taxpayer ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, we have put infrastructure out there. I mean, there is a lot of money that we've put out there. And I know that we're not really in the business of making a lot of money. We're trying to divest. And so we are selling these lots at very reasonable prices. And so, I mean, they're already getting deals. It's set up, it has the infrastructure that's needed there, that's already provided, and that's great. But then if I would just like to see us recoup a little bit of those costs for our time. And I understand the cost of doing business, but we've already put a lot of money into that, and we're not selling at a premium here. This is
for what it's worth. You don't need to twist my arm to try to convince the city to not be in private real estate. Trust me.
Right.
I'm just but more so even the comment to Ideal, I really appreciate. Obviously, they've expanded greatly in Grand Forks, and I've really appreciated that. Really respected that. Obviously, I don't know the dealings of exactly what you guys even do. It's all over technically above my head. But I hope that obviously if this property didn't work, hopefully you can find something in Grand Forks to make that expansion. That'd be a very, very sizable expansion in the community. So hopefully that doesn't deter you to go somewhere else. And I appreciate the effort and the diligence put into it. So but obviously I already had the second. So that's my comments.
Mr. Field.
Chair Friedel, so I was going to, and Mr. Owens is here on behalf of Ideal Aerosmith, so just so that we see the forest and not just the trees here, I think we should, if you wouldn't mind, have Greg come up here and give an update on Ideal Aerosmith. I think they're working out of 3 buildings here in Grand Forks and have grown and expanded quite a bit. Certainly our goal is for them to expand in Grand Forks. This site didn't work out, and as the staff report says, they've spent about $100,000 trying to make this site work through testing. And I think the reason why the city of Grand Forks owns this land, put infrastructure, it's good land with good infrastructure. We are starting to sell at market. The reason why the city and /JDA did it, because nobody else was doing anything. And so now that we're growing and we're developing, now it feels like, well, the private sector should do it. I'm just telling you, 10, 15 years ago, nobody was doing anything. And so I'm glad that we've grown and developed. And now it seems like a no-brainer for others to do it. So, but with that, I think Mr. Owens, I think it's the greater thing is about all the great things going on at Ideal Aerosmith, if you wouldn't mind stepping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on up. Yeah, we're thrilled to see your growth and hear a little bit about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I wasn't really planning on
Surprise.
speaking, so I apologize in advance. Specifically, that track, the seismic activity from the highway was just not going to allow us to perform our core business. We really wanted that track. I was very excited about it. I have a long-term vision of consolidating all of our operations into one larger facility, and that was kind of my goal and my hope there. But my goal now is to complete our expansion at 3001, and probably towards the end of the year we'll start looking for another site. Right, as mentioned, right now we're operating out of three buildings, and that's fun and exciting, but it would be better if we were in one. And our goal is to have one consolidated facility in Grand Forks.
Yeah, I sat through a briefing at your site over there, and it's phenomenal what you guys are doing. It's some really cool the machinery, and
We do some fun stuff, for sure.
stuff people have no idea what you guys are doing either.
Right,
Which is
we don't
really
even know
neat.
half the time. So.
Because you're not allowed to talk about
Yeah,
it.
we're not allowed to talk about a lot of it, but it's an interesting time for sure. And I'm sorry that track didn't work out. And I know the city spent some money, while we reviewed it, but it just wasn't going to work for us. So
When you look for one campus, we'll help you out.
we'll find another one. Yep. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So that would be that was that an aye for yes? Oh, okay. Just
That was an aye for yes.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf here.
need to increase,
The mute. I couldn't hit the mute button. fast
need to
enough.
increase your internet speed over there. All right. But motion passes unanimously. All right. Number 4, information only, past due and repaid loans update.
Okay, so we did update this sheet, so there is only 3 for today. African Arts Arena, I did contact Mr. Delore, so he did notify us that he's going to make a payment for 3 months. We were hoping to see that today. I don't believe he's stopped by yet, but I'll keep you guys updated on that one. Integrity Fundraisers is currently behind. They are set with a meeting with Andy tomorrow. So we're hoping to have more to bring you guys our next meeting of what that meeting takes place. And then Empire Arts Center, this is probably a new one that you guys have seen on here. They did have some staff change, so just trying to get them caught up to speed on this loan and then the process for that. It was just an error for them, so they will be getting caught up here shortly as well. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, just the Integrity Fundraiser, their loan balance is still pretty large. And they've only got another couple years to pay it off, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Can I ask a question? What exactly is Integrity Fundraisers?
So their core business is a fundraising entity, right? So they partner with various organizations for schools, for example. They'll do like apparel sales. They'll put together stores, that sort of thing. Basically to help, whether it's PTOs or sports organizations, that sort of thing, to help those organizations raise funds. This originated as an original COVID loan. So they, as you'd imagine, back in 2021, their business took quite a hit during COVID. This was meant to help them get back on their feet and kind of bounce back to where they were pre-COVID. Obviously, it hasn't worked out as they had planned or as we had hoped. And to your point, Chair Friedhoffs, the loan is structured. You may recall their last loan modification. They came forward. We had them go through our process and reach out to SBDC, structure out and get kind of a third-party review of what they can afford, kind of where their business is at now, and then structure it with that balloon payment so that they have to come back to us. If they can't, by some miracle, pay us back the full balance, which we don't anticipate, we'd have another conversation. In this case, that conversation is accelerated. They're not keeping up with our current track. So as Anna had said, I've got a meeting set with them tomorrow to see. They have met with the SBDC that again to kind of get another third party review where they're sitting. Eager to hear what their path forward looks like tomorrow, and as Anna said, we'll hopefully we can come back with a plan and they bounce back and get back up to speed where they need to be on this current track. But I think maybe more likely is we'll come back with another loan modification or next steps next month.
And we don't hand out these types of loans anymore, correct? We don't.
We
do that?
we don't have so the EDA RLF, the program still exists. So the funds that revolve that come back are available to be reloaned, and we do still operate that piece of it. But the specific terms of the program for COVID relief and the terms that they received a loan under, we don't offer that anymore.
Thank you.
And, one of the things we're always concerned about, right, is communication. It sounds like they're communicating well, but there is a point that we have to really, say, can you really pay this back? And so, if you wouldn't mind tomorrow, maybe send me a note when you have a chat with them and see where we're going.
Yep, absolutely, can do.
Okay. Any other comments? All right.
I move adjournment.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Hey, talk to Andy. Andy sets the time.
All right, welcome everybody. We'll call to order the Grand Forks City Council meeting for June 15th. If we get a roll call, please, Maureen.
Weigel.
Here.
Sowski. Berg. Here. Lensky. Here. Friedolfs.
Here.
Veen.
Here.
And President Sandy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item 1.3, Mayor's announcements, just a couple of announcements. Looks like summer's really starting to kick off. Want to thank all the volunteers and coordinators that put on Art Fest at University Park, another great event. Once again, successful year after year, so great job. And then just this past Saturday, the farmers market kicked off downtown. I didn't get to make it to that one, but it's great to see. Great opportunity to get out. That'll be running till probably mid-September, depending upon the weather. So if you get a chance, get down there. It's pretty remarkable. Downtown comes alive there at Town Square. And then some more exciting news. Friday, Twining Elementary Middle School groundbreaking. The federal government came in with a very large grant. Very great sign. Great for our military families, particularly those kids that travel around. Going to have a phenomenal STEM school. Just broke ground. It'll be opening up for the school year 2 years from now. But just great to see another great addition to the larger Grand Forks area. So really happy to see that. With that, that's all for Mayor's announcements. We'll move on to item 2, awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations.
2.1 is the 2027 Mayor's Salary and General Fund Budget Preview.
All right, thank you. If you just want, I'll take the first slide, and then Maureen and team, you guys can take it from there. Pretty good budget season. We got a great finance team, great group of department heads all the way through, and I think we got a great budget, and this is kind of the first piece of that you'll get to see tonight. As always, the 3 main focuses that we look for: public safety, people, and infrastructure. So you'll see public safety continue to grow there. We had those 3 police officers we added last year, but we continue to add capital and technology funding, and you saw the rewards of that in 2025. Record low crime on record for the city of Grand Forks, so pretty phenomenal to see there. We did, just like any other entities, we do continue to trim up and become more efficient. So we did have a reduction of 4.5 total FTEs going into 2027. So that did equate to quite a big reduction, which we were able to put towards promotions for our current city staff. Another great year, and we want to keep the folks that we have. So a great chance to be able to get that salary plan funded the way that we've wanted to in the past. So I'm excited to bring that forward. But also realizing, we've done a great job as a city since 2020, 7th straight year of reducing mills, down 6.83 mills since 2020. I think we're probably one of the few political subdivisions, not just in our region, but in the state, that's been able to do that. And once again, a budget, we have 3% caps. We're well below that. So I think that's pretty phenomenal. And we continue to make investments that grow the community and spread that tax burden out. So individuals don't have as much burden on themselves. So I'm glad we can continue to do that through 2027. So there you go, Ms. Storstad, continue.
All right. Thank you for that intro, Mayor. So tonight, we're just going to give you a preview of the mayor's budget for 2027, much of what the mayor's already highlighted for you, focusing primarily on the general fund tonight. But just take a quick look at the agenda here. We plan to go through just that process, that timeline at a very high level. I'm going to turn it over to Tanji just to go through a salary plan and benefit update for 2027. I'll get then into the general fund and just a preview at utility bill and what that mill value is and the growth and projection, as well as some of the history. And then ultimately we'll go through what is to come as far as the dates on the 2027 budget and meetings. But overall, first, I just start with this. You would have received an email from me with this timeline, but we're in the budget process. We've been looking at it, working with it for a while. Of course, we're all here sitting in June with a preliminary look on what that looks like. But we do plan to come back to you with a final mayor's budget in July, ultimately leading to preliminary approval in August and then final approval in September. But first, I'm going to turn it over to Tanji, and she will go through salary plan and benefit information.
Thank you, Maureen. Good evening, Mayor Buczynski, Council President Sandy, Vice President Weigel, and members of the City Council, and thank you for the opportunity to present. As the mayor has mentioned, the city has several departments that have restructured or are currently in the process of restructuring, which has resulted in a reduction of number of positions through attrition for 2027. Several departments have also chosen to fill vacated positions at lower levels, resulting in further cost savings. I will walk you through all of these items in the next few slides. We'll also review our salary plan design and take a look at our economic cost indicator for 2027's market movement, the performance-based step increase, and a total cost for implementation for 2027. Included as part of this presentation and attached to your agenda as attachment A is the 2027 draft job classification and compensation plan, also known as our salary plan. This includes various charts and tables that will further detail the overall salary plan. Oops. It's the city's priority to ensure that we're operating as efficiently as possible and building strong teams and supporting strategic alignment. This year, we had 3 departmental restructurings that resulted in overall reduction in employees. The Finance and Administrative Services Department experienced turnover in 2 key positions that proved difficult to fill. Instead of backfilling these positions, Finance was able to capitalize on the skill sets of current employees to redistribute these duties and restructure the department. This restructuring reduced their departmental staff by 2 full-time employees. Similarly, the Building Safety Department is in the process of restructuring to 3 manager positions overseeing building inspections, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing inspections, and management of zoning and special projects. The staffing reduction in building safety includes a senior administrative specialist and an electrical building trades inspector. Other general fund adjustments include the reduction of a 50% time administrative specialist position in assessing and an environmental health supervisor position to an environmental health specialist position in public health. The total general fund reduction is 4.5 positions, equating to just over $450,000. In the enterprise funds, the Public Works Department has identified the need to incorporate an Assistant Public Works Director promotion. This position will work across public works operations, water, and environmental management. The recently vacated Greenway Specialist position will not be refilled directly, and instead those duties will be reallocated to current staff. And an unfilled environmental specialist position will be backfilled with an environmental technician position. These changes resulted in an additional $114,000 of savings. Moving on to the salary plan. The city's current compensation and salary system and salary plan was approved by City Council and implemented in 2024 after a study and redesign of the former salary plan by Condrey and Associates. This plan is designed with 28 grades spaced 5% apart until grade 20, and then moving to a 10% separation from grades 21 to 28. The plan has 18 steps in each grade, with each step being 2.5% apart. This plan design incorporates the 2.5% annual step increase for employees with satisfactory job performance, as well as the market-based adjustment to ensure the plan's effectiveness. This plan has allowed employees to have a level of predictability to their pay increases while maintaining equity and being a competitive method of compensation. Following the implementation of the salary plan in 2024, the city has seen a reduction in voluntary turnover of 4.7%, as well as an increase in support and understanding of the plan by employees. The ECI, the Employer Cost Index, guides the plan's market movement. The ECI is an economic indicator put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics that measures the cost of employees to employers. This number encompasses not only the economy's performance, but helps to provide an indicator of how labor costs are changing. This number has been trending downwards, as you can see on the slide, and will hopefully continue to do so, as historically this number has ranged from 1% to 3%. The ECI for December 2025 is 3.4%. Current plan design recommends implementing 75% or more of the ECI annually to ensure competitive compensation and longevity of the plan. The mayor's budget, including the 2027 salary plan, does include 75% of the ECI, which equates to 2.55% market adjustment. So let's take a look at how that breaks down into dollars. The total general fund budget for the salary plan allocation includes the performance step of 2.5%, which equates to $705,000. The market adjustment, utilizing 75% of the ECI, is 2.55%, and equates to $719,000, which totals 5.05% increase at $1.4 million. Also shown are the breakouts reflected across all funds, which equates to $2.1 million. This slide shows that the history of the council approved overall increases over the last 9 years in blue, and then the mayor's proposed increase in green. As always, when evaluating the proposed salary plan, as part of the budgeting process, the city reviews our comparator entities as a gut check for this 5.05%, and it falls within those entities' norms. You can find that comparison data on page 8 of handout A. So the city strives to promote growth and opportunity for its employees. Departments look to operational efficiency while recognizing employees who take on additional responsibilities and pursue certifications and experiences that enhance their job performance and skills. These ongoing initiatives contribute to employee retention by providing greater opportunities and motivations to excel. On this slide, you will see the various promotions and new positions slotted for 2027. The promotions include a GIS manager, wastewater treatment plant lead, 7 police corporals, 6 heavy equipment operators, and the assistant public works director. New positions for 2027 would be a wastewater treatment plant lead and a public service worker. Lastly, I'll provide a brief update on employee benefits. As you recall, 2026 was the second year of a 2-year contract with Health Partners for employee health insurance. The first year, 2025, saw a 0% increase in the health insurance, and the second year in 2026 saw a 12% increase. This year, the city went out for bid for a full renewal on health insurance, as well as a bid for dental, vision, and flexible benefits. Those health insurance bids were due back on Friday of last week and will be reviewed on July 2nd and incorporated into the next budget presentation on July 20th. The 2027 mayor's budget currently has a 10% placeholder allocated within it. With that, I'll turn the mic back over to Maureen to continue on with your first look at the 2027 budget.
All right, thank you, Tanji. So everything that Tanji just went through, we've incorporated into this budget. Primarily tonight, of course, speaking of general fund. But first, just the overall look at property tax, mill levy, as that's always top of mind. We estimate the value of a mill at $319,000 roughly, up from $307,000. That further broken out between growth and valuation. As you can see there, 1.45% from growth and 2.41% from valuation. So as you remember, House Bill 1176 was passed at the last legislation issuing a 3% cap on property tax. So what that means, based on this information, since the overall valuation is below 3%, to come up to the cap, you'd add 0.53 mils. So what this budget does actually overall is a reduction of 0.1 mils. So we're 0.63 mils under the cap. So that's how that calculation works out to stay within legislative caps. That's roughly $203,000 under the cap that we're allowed to bank for future budget year as needed. But just the history there, as you can see, this budget proposes bringing it down to 91.84 mils. Going back on this graph to 2021, 97.87. I think the mayor highlighted going back to 2020, that was 98.67 mils. So you can see that the trend has been to try to reduce the levy. Everything that the city levies for that's related to property tax and the fund that it supports, you can find on that handout B, and that's where you'll see that breakout. But really 74% of our property tax levy goes for the general fund. So as the mayor stated, really his priority has been public safety. We have incorporated into this budget increases for capital reserve. We haven't been able to meet all the needs and all the requests of all the departments, but we're trying to do our best to phase in increases where we can, and as we feel it fulfills the need in a sustainable manner that we can grow into and have a sustainable budget. But as far as the capital reserve, we do have an increase planned in for these. So then when we come time to have to replace these vehicles, equipment, we've taken into account inflationary increases, and we'll have the funds there set aside, ready to go when it's time to replace. So this budget has an increase built in to try to solve that inflationary increase that we've been seeing. Just as a reminder too, so what we do in the general fund, we try to take the volatility out from one year to another. So we come with an annual amount that we set aside for capital reserve. We move that into our fund, 4,800. So then the money is there ready to go when it's time to replace. So in trying to have the funds available, that's where that increase is coming in the funding. We're also fortunate enough to be the recipients of that grant that was approved a year ago, bringing on 3 cops. We're in year 2 of that for 2027. So we have that 50% funding included. And also with the street equipment, we do have increased funding there. I think it was 2 budget cycles ago, we started setting aside a reserve for future capital for streets, equipment and vehicles, similar to how we've done fire and police engineering inspections. So this budget increases throughout the projection years to get that to a consistent funding level that we need on an annual basis. But at the same time, we've been using cash to help catch up on those capital needs. So this incorporates that. And then, of course, legislative impacts. You heard this a year ago with becoming a court of record with our municipal court. There's increased costs associated with that. So we have those numbers baked in too. So overall, as we've shown in the past, we break out your general fund, which is roughly 55.67 million, both by category and by function. General fund is your main operating fund of the city. It's people driven. We're doing services. So it is 81% of the budget for general fund. When I look at that a year ago, we were at 82%. So we'll go through some of those impacts, why that actually dropped a little bit. Tangi already touched on some of it with some restructure. We went down positions. We also have a reduction in our annual defined benefit contribution that we'll get into here. And then by function, you'll see public safety is by far the largest function. That has, as we've said all along here, Mayor's one of his primary focuses. When I look at that, going back to 2022, it was 53% of the total pie. Now we're up to 57%. So I think we're showing that impact. But handout C will show you how this breaks out for the general fund revenue and expense. In total, it's a 2.88% increase on the expense side. Couple things to note on that handout when you look at that on the revenue side. Sales tax, we're recommending to hold the 2027 budgeted sales tax revenue flat with 2026. The reason being that was the 26 budget was based on 3% increase over 2024 actual. 2024 was a great year. 2025 didn't come in as good as 2024. So we're just readjusting our numbers and our projection on that and holding that flat. Maybe lastly on that handout, state aid, we do have an increase based on the state's numbers on that, and that's a positive impact of $200,000. So then regarding the defined benefit pension plan, that's the city's owned pension plan that's been closed. We've had a lot of discussions about that. That's a mature plan. We're currently sitting at 89% funded on a market basis. We've done really well on that plan. It's sitting in a really good position. This budget does incorporate spreading out that amortization out 5 additional years to take out some volatility, as we have approved a glide path toward de-risking that plan. So we feel it's a good time to look at this. It does have $400,000 a year annual reduced expense contribution that we've estimated for the budget to be better used for some of those more current needs. So that is built in here too. As far as your balance in the general fund, we estimate that to be roughly 18 million going into 2027 in the general fund. We do have, as has been brought forward previously, I believe starting with the 25 budget, some one-time uses, including what I had spoken about with the streets department on needed vehicles and equipment. So that's a planned one-time needs funding with some of that cash. You can see there on the slide some of those items. This budget does also request an additional $585,000. We have some street winter leases that will be looking at a decision of whether to buy them out in November of 27. So in looking at that, we feel it's the best financial decision to go ahead and plan to purchase those. It's equipment we need. We look at that $585,000 cash along with a budgeted amount of $233,000 and internally financing the remainder there of $847 and paying that back within 5 years. So then finally, just looking at a projection here, I feel good about this projection for general fund. We want to make sure we have a good sustainable plan looking forward. Some of the things that are baked in here, we look at this, we adjust annually. We've got those new restructures built in here, the new plan with the defined benefit pension. We have incorporated those additional court costs, the additional police positions coming off a grant. Other than that, there's no new positions. We got our new basis on sales tax revenue projected in here. And then as far as wages, past what Tanji had just spoken about, 2028 forward, we have that 2.5% step and 2% ECI. The other assumption is we have, just assuming holding mills level as we have in the past in our assumptions and keeping to the 3% cap. And then, of course, over time, we have a good plan forward here of, as I've stated probably several times now, just building up that capital reserve for not just police, fire, but also streets, while maintaining a healthy balance there. This is very preliminary, so I say that as this is not a final utility bill comparison, but just to give you a sense of what we're looking at here as we work through this. As you can see there, it's comparing the 2026 bill versus a 2027 bill. This is based on a 4,000 gallon a month user. A final comparison will be brought when I'm up here on July 20th. And then lastly, we just wanted to put this there to show just the importance of growing the tax base, which helps all taxing entities on revenue collections, and at the same time, increasing that tax base helps spread the property tax burden. So trying just to show the impact of growing that tax base and the efforts the city has made, as we do make about 75% of the total value in the county. So we'll continue with those efforts. And then lastly, before I turn it over to questions, the next time you'll see me up here is July 20th. That's when we'll bring the budget in full in front of you for all funds, including CIP, the fee listing, utility rates, but ultimately August 3rd for preliminary approval and September 8th for final, and I believe that's a Tuesday. So if you can mark your calendars. With that, I would open it up for questions.
All right, any questions? And I think the intention now, mainly information, but if you got things you'd like to see, at least from what was presented today, to be different, as we present the first preliminary budget, certainly let myself, finance know. Ms. Osowski, please.
Sorry. One thing that I was surprised to see is that we're raising our flood protection costs again. You know, we've been kind of borrowing from that fund, or we suggested borrowing from that fund to do playthings. And now here we are continuously rising the cost of our flood protection on our citizens. I disagree with that, especially when we are using it almost as a slush fund to build things on the Greenway. The other thing that maybe I would like to see added into the budget is I would like to see, or maybe we could discuss it, an additional person for inspections. We have a lot of rental issues in my ward. And, you know, when you reach out to Brandon, there just really isn't enough time to get out and inspect some of these properties properly, or even once every 3 years. And so I would like, especially if we're, you know, with the housing committee and things like that, I would like to push for a little bit more staffing with inspections. Also, if someone could please explain this to me, it's been 4 years, this is my fourth budget. I don't understand how we cut the mills, but then we just rise the price of mills. I don't feel like we're saving any money or even making reductions. We're saying that we're cutting mills, but then the cost of a mill just goes up. And I never have understood that, how we can say that we're cutting things when really the cost is just going up. So if someone could explain really how that works, I would appreciate that.
And Ms. Osowski, Mayor Buczynski, members of council, if I could maybe start with the flood protection costs. So I think what you're referring to here is the flood protection greenway maintenance fee of 5%. So I don't want that confused with the flood protection capital maintenance fund. So this is for the annual operations of the greenway and flood protection maintenance. So that goes through our stormwater fund, separate from large capital maintenance projects. So it's a different fund, I believe, that you're referring to. So I just wanted to clarify that this is maintaining, operating, you know, greenway flood protection. So it's separate from the capital maintenance flood protection fund.
But wouldn't we be able to use the capital maintenance flood protection fund for some of this stuff
So
that
this
we
is
can?
just operations.
But
No, we can't.
We
Can't
can't.
move capital. It's a sales and use tax that goes to that fund, and this is a separate
Correct.
one, so we can't mix those funds. They're
Okay, but we have plenty of money to borrow against it then for fancy projects. I guess, to me, I grew up here. I went through the flood of 97. It was a very odd time in our community, and I want to see just our flood protection dollars going to protect us from flooding. I think that is the reason why it's there. That's why we have the greenway. That's why we have the dike. And I just have a hard time, you know, borrowing from it to build fun things on that side of the greenway. And then we jack up our utility rates. I disagree with that. I mean, I just sat in a meeting with you guys, I think last Monday or a couple Mondays ago, where we're talking about how we need to cut out parking because it's going to save everybody in that apartment building $27 per month. And then here we are, and we're talking about how that can make and break people from being able to afford to live there. But then every day or every year we're here jacking up the utility bill. I mean, this year it's only $6, but you know, since I've been sitting on the council, it has gone up probably close to $20. And so, you know, people use that excuse of $27 can make or break people when it comes to parking spots and developers, but no one takes a look at the $27 and the increase in even just the utility bills that we're handing out. And I would like to see those go in a different direction. You know, if that is a statement that we're going to keep using, is $27 a month can make or break people living places, because this doesn't seem like we're taking our own advice at all.
I can touch on that just shortly. I mean, obviously inflationary impacts are going to change what the numbers are every year. You're seeing, I mean, on the greenway maintenance is 8 cents a month increase is what you're concerned about. It is 8 cents. I think that's important that we maintain that. But realize that we have inflation that is going to hit us every year. So the time you got on, 2020, we've seen or 2022 you're on originally, we've seen some pretty incredible inflation from there. So if you looked at these numbers, they're probably in line or better than inflation. So I think that's been good. And back to the mill levy versus valuations. The valuations are done every year by the assessor. That is done separately. We get the valuations. That sets what the value of the mill is. All the political subdivisions then set their budget. Where your budget is based on a percentage is where the mill rate is. So we would have had to have decreased the mills a little bit more than we did. There's been years we've decreased it enough where overall it went down. This year we're not decreasing it enough, so it's an overall net down, but we are decreasing mills and going in the right direction. So I think it's positive. I think we've done a great job of beating out inflation, and not a lot of people have been able to do that. So I'm pretty impressed with what we've done. But do you have something else to add, Ms.
The only other
Storstad?
thing I was going to add, Mayor, is when I'm back here on July 20th, so you'll see the flood protection maintenance, capital maintenance projection 6-year and all the projects related. So that'll be part of the full budget presentation, and that's where your use tax goes to fund those projects. And it's just not part of this presentation tonight, but we do take care of the flood protection system or the flood control dike system, flood protection system, and that'll be part of that presentation. The only other thing that the mayor's spot on, it's the property tax has different legs, and one of them is the levy, one of them is the value. So it's the combination, and we have to stay within an overall 3% increase from the valuation part. So what in the percent, what I don't believe I said earlier, when we reduce the 0.1 mils, that would equate to a 2.26% increase for the homeowner. So that's
Okay,
where
so-
that percent comes
So a 2.26%
26
raise
on
for
property tax.
on property taxes for the homeowner.
on average.
On average.
On average.
Okay.
That's what a 0.1 mil reduction comes to. And as far as the staffing with the inspections, I don't know if anybody wants to address that, but
I think Mayor Buczynski, we talked with the department and we feel comfortable with the recommendation. And I would also highlight the city of Grand Forks, are we 26 or 27% of the general, of the overall taxation in the?
yeah, right in between there, 26.
So-
27, yeah.
We can do a lot with our 26%, but if other entities with a large percentage continue to increase their mills, we have to look at their budgets, not the city of Grand Forks. I think what we're showing with the diagram is that the city of Grand Forks has done our fair share. And if the mills have gone up, they should probably attend different meetings.
Thank you. One thing that
Any
I.
other questions? Or did you have something else?
Yeah, I
Ms.
was.
Ms.
gonna
Lesesky, please.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to say I was really happy to see that we're focusing on public safety this year. I think that's really important. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion points for tonight? Going once? Yeah, Mr. Friedels, please.
Just happy to see the promotions and the raises. We can't do what we do without the people, and people will leave when they feel like they're underappreciated and don't give those opportunities. And so it's good to see other jobs opening up, and definitely a fair wage for folks to take in. So good work on that.
President Sandy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Friedels. Thank you, Mayor. The city council in Grand Forks meets every week. We meet twice as often as the county commission. We don't need to vote on it at this minute, but at some point I'm going to make the recommendation that we get paid $1 more than the county commission. And I also don't believe that the mayor should be penalized because the mayor of Fargo has gone full-time. So I'd recommend giving him the same raise that all the city employees are getting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, President Sandy. Any further discussions for this evening? All right. Thanks again, Ms. Storstad, Ms. Bavette, all the department heads, all the administration. Great job. I'll move on to 3, public hearings and second reading of ordinances. There are none today, so we'll move on quickly to item 4, citizen comments. Ms. Lundmark, do we have any comments?
There are 2 electronic ones that are attached on the agenda, and I believe were both, one I emailed out to you, the other one I believe the submitter sent to all of you directly. And we have 4 in-person speakers, kind of centered around the yard waste site item, and also on the townhome 513. So we'll just start out with Dean Burgess. Apologize if I said your name wrong.
Was it Dean Burgess?
Could be.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm bad at reading handwriting.
Is there a dean out there? There we go.
Yeah, they're Dean.
How do you?
Not my choice.
Yeah,
How do you pronounce
come on
your
up.
name, sir?
I'm sorry.
How do you pronounce your last name, sir?
Verbilis.
Verbilis. Mr.
Verbilis.
Verbilis, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then we've got a 3-minute timer, so you can see it on the sides, and you go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the time to speak to the council here. I've been a resident of my townhome for 9 years, and it was a real quiet street, and I plan to live there as long as I can. My neighborhood, my street we were kind of blindsided by this waste disposal site proposal, and I know it will create a lot of impacts. I'm one of a handful of retirees that live on that street, South 11th Street, and one concern is increased traffic on the street. If that site goes through, it's a very narrow street, and we were concerned about the increased traffic of people coming in to that site, and also weather factors, the wind. We have the wind possibly blowing debris into the neighborhood there. We already experienced garbage and leaves blowing in already, but with that added waste that's there, that could be there, it would also create other factors and health concerns. Also, maybe ecological impacts. There's already a large gopher population that's living across the street, and I don't know if that will create more areas for varmints to exist. But yeah, that was basically my main concern is that site. I hope the council can revisit that and maybe move the site to an area where there's a non-residential area. I know there's a site already that exists on 46th Avenue South that's in close proximity to the one we're at right now, but I hope they can move the site somewhere else that's not impacting a residential area. But yes, that was my main concerns, was just having it there and the increased traffic and potential debris blowing into the neighborhood. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Verbilis. Did I say it right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Next, we have Evan Andrus.
Mr. Anders, please.
Hello, council members. I'm Evan Andrus, the Buildings and Grounds Elder for First Presbyterian Church. We are located at 5555 South Washington Street, immediately north of the proposed municipal yard waste facility. All council members and Mayor Boczynski should have received an unabridged version of this comment from me earlier today via email. I also have printed copies available if anybody would like one as well. While our congregation is not fundamentally opposed to this selection of this location, we do have significant concerns regarding the facility's potential impact on neighboring properties, public use of our grounds, and the long-term maintenance burden placed upon our volunteer staff. Our church property serves as a role that extends well beyond our congregation. The grounds are heavily utilized by neighborhood residents, families using our playground, walkers, and community members seeking to access our open green spaces. In many respects, our property functions as a community park. We actively encourage this use and are currently planning substantial investments to further improve and beautify these grounds. Our main concerns for this proposed facility are vector, weed, and pest control, odor mitigation and air quality, and wind-blown debris and dust suppression. Where there is yard waste and water, there will be weeds, rodents, insects, and other nuisance pests. Improper weed, vector, and pest control will negatively affect us. Because prevailing winds frequently travel from south to north, our property is positioned directly downwind from the proposed facility. Persistent odors and dust will negatively affect us. That wind also blows loose debris, plastic bags, mulch, glass clippings, and other materials onto our property, placing an undue burden upon our volunteers. We welcome this facility as a neighbor if it is designed, operated, and monitored in a manner that protects surrounding community assets. An improperly designed or operated facility has the potential to end our church. We respectfully request that the city provide us with the facility's formal vector weed control plan, identification of engineering standards, monitoring procedures, and performance metrics that will be used to ensure odors do not migrate beyond the property boundaries, a detailed plan for perimeter litter control, including information regarding fencing, windbreaks, vegetation buffers, and other protective measures proposed along the north property boundary adjacent to our church. And to promote transparency and long-term accountability, we also request consideration for a formal good neighbor agreement or equivalent mitigation process prior to final approval. Specifically request clarification regarding the designated point of contact responsible for odor, debris, dust, drainage, or nuisance complaints, the complaint response timeline and escalation process, an independent monitoring, reporting, or record-keeping procedure that will be used to evaluate impacts on neighboring properties, the enforcement mechanisms available if the facility operations creates a public nuisance or fails to comply with approved conditions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Well done, right on time. You're the first person all year that's respected that. I appreciate it.
Alnez Tegnu.
3 minutes per topic?
You get 3 minutes, Ms. Tagnew,
Or is
please.
it total? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Almaz Tegnu, 24th Avenue South. So I'll piggyback on the yard waste disposal site. One concern is that everybody I talked to, they were all blindsided. I know the city, I believe, has a 300-yard notification, but the church, the neighbors, nobody knew about it. The people that currently own the property, they are 2 years delinquent on their taxes as of a couple days ago, according to the city records. So I'm wondering where that money is going to go, if the city is going to absorb the 24 and 25-year taxes. And also, since the same people own the storage facility that was also built right over across the street from the proposed site, could they potentially just move the yard waste disposal site to the to behind the storage unit, which also the neighbors were unaware that was being built until the groundbreaking of that as well. But that would get rid of a lot of the concerns of the neighborhood. And then also maybe we could use that for, like they were saying, maybe a nice park or something that would be a little more beneficial to the community. Everybody could use, everybody could be happy, move it across the street where the people already own the other property as well. And hopefully they pay their taxes before selling it to the city so that we don't absorb those taxes. And then on the townhouse agenda, just a couple concerns on that. Luckily, I talk really fast. Okay, so with that again, I think that we need to be maybe getting more input from other people so that we know pros and cons of everything that's happening in the city instead of just kind of the pros of everything coming in, because when you see a one-sided argument, it always sounds really good. I've been on the receiving end where I've sold things until later I do more research and I'm like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. With the changing city code, we're basically setting it up to where every developer coming in is going to build basically just rentals. So where are we doing these single family homes for the young kids, the starter families, etc., with taking away plat lines, etc. You're saving money on the developers, but it's going to increase cost for everybody coming behind them. So again, we keep giving developers a bunch of tax breaks and a bunch of money, but we're not thinking about the citizens and the people that it's going to affect down the road. Kind of like the other ones that went bankrupt, and then we again gave them more tax breaks later on. So if we can just be maybe talking to people, getting other sides of the argument and conversations before making these decisions, and luckily we can do that by putting it out to the public so everybody is actually aware of what's happening before it gets passed and then it's too late. And I'm not going to speak on potential fire safety because I'm not an expert on that, but I think also we should be probably talking to subject matter experts on decreasing firewalls, sprinkler systems, et cetera, all the other safety concerns. And again, like I said, it's going to basically ensure that all future development, well, not all, but a majority of future development will go to rentals and not homeowners. So let's not do the World Economic Forum, you'll own nothing and be happy. Let's be better than that for Grand Forks. I think everybody would agree on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that.
And the last speaker I have is Brady Melland, and he is also speaking on the townhome ordinance.
Mr. Mellon, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right, please.
Members of the council, thank you for your time and consideration. I'm speaking regarding item 5.13 and in support of it. I am not a bigwig developer. I'm one of the people that reached out to the planning department with proposing this change. I'm currently building a small apartment building on North 3rd Street. So I just wanted to outline some of the details with this proposal. So currently, in a zoning district that allows it, a developer can build a row of apartments that look and function exactly like townhouses, meaning they have two exposed sides and their unit goes from the foundation all the way to the roof deck. But if they wanted to build one of those, they would have to do it under the IBC without lot lines. The International Building Code requires only 1 hour fire rated walls separating the units, but it also requires sprinklers. With this change, it would allow the building of townhouses in their respective zoning under the IRC, the International Residential Code, which allows the construction of these units without sprinklers but 2 hour walls. The IRC does not require a lot line to separate townhouse units, but the city of Grand Forks does. And by not requiring lot lines for a townhouse, this allows adjoining townhouses to share a main water and sewer connection. And this does not mean that there are shared utilities. Those can all still be separated within the lot. Additionally, this proposal does not permit townhomes in R1 neighborhoods, nor does it restrict the future platting of R1 neighborhoods. So it is not a restriction on single-family zoning. As for construction standards and life safety, townhouses without sprinklers, but with proper fire separation walls exist all over Grand Forks. Every townhouse that has a lot line in Grand Forks right now is built without sprinklers, but with 2 hour fire separation walls. Further, there's nothing unusual about townhouses. They're built all over our city currently and have been in other cities for centuries. I hear a lot of complaints about housing online and from peers. And a lot of it is houses are too expensive, fair enough, and that there are too many large apartment buildings. As far as the city is concerned, one of the reasons that houses are so expensive is because their associated infrastructure is expensive and expansive. We are building too few buildings on too much land. As far as too many apartments goes, there are other as far as too many apartments goes, we do not permit oftentimes a lot of other types of buildings such as townhouses or make them too expensive to build in the first place. So opposition to this amendment does not reduce housing costs, nor does it make it possible for there to be less large apartments. It actually does the opposite. This proposal is an incremental change that allows for the means to construct rental and for sale townhouses in a more feasible manner without sacrificing life safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. Appreciate it.
That's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lundmark. We'll move on to item 5, action items. So I'll open up to items that council wants pulled for further discussion this evening.
11, 12, and 13.
Did you say 11, 12, and 13?
Yeah, I'll pull
Yeah,
both of
they're
those.
kind of, 11 and 12 are connected.
Yeah, so I'll pull all of those.
All the ones that have been discussed. Any other ones for this evening?
5.3, Mayor.
5.3.
Mayor Paczynski, if you could pull 5, 1, and 2 on behalf of us.
Mr. Gosted's got some updates that I was supposed to do that. Thank you for reminding me. All right, anything further this evening? So we'll look for a motion to approve then items 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, 5.10, 5.14, and 5.15. Got a motion. So moved by Vice President Weigel, second for Ms. Berg. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. So Ms. Storstad, we're left to discuss 5.1 through 5.3 and 5.11 through 5.13.
Okay, beginning with 5.1, Ultra Sports Complex Deep Dive Well Feature Management and Operations Agreement.
Mr. Gosted.
All right. Thank you, Mayor and council members. There really isn't much of an update. There's been no changes proposed by anybody on this agreement since the Committee of the Whole meeting. One item I do want to point out is the foundation has raised some concerns about their continually being a party. They want to make the donation. They just don't want to be a party after they make the donation, which is what we had proposed. One of the issues is that if this deep dive well facility happens to cost more than 1.5, and we've got an estimate right now at 1.3, so we're not expecting it. But if that would happen to occur, the way the agreement sets up is that the excess would come from UND or the foundation, that they'd have to agree on it. So that's one of the matters that the foundation raised with me late last week. They want to make the contribution. That's not an issue. They just don't want to be a party very long after they've made that donation. So with that, it'd be my recommendation to approve it as been presented to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gosted. I'll open up to councils. Any questions or any motions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Berg. We got a second. Okay, second from Ms. Lunsky. She's got a little bit of time to get a few more motions in. Any further discussion? All right, thank you for the work. I know it's been a while, Mr. Gosted, but well done as usual. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.2, Ultra Sports Complex, Ultra Naming Right Agreement.
All right.
Mr. Gosted.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. We've had a number of discussions. I know last week I pointed out there were a couple items that still were outstanding that need to be resolved, and for the most part they have been. There's one that has not been. I just want to go through a couple of them. First, there are what are called Scrivener's errors that we have to correct, missing things like that we need to clean up. I was notified of that. There's like 5 or 6 of them that I need to take care of. Those aren't substantive matters. The one item that was resolved that was outstanding was the term of an all-through competitor. That has now been resolved. That's at section 3.1.3. All-through competitor is anybody that's involved in hospital medical services, medical clinic services, emergency medical services, physical therapy, chiropractic services, or dietetic services, and then any other medical related services that the parties would agree on. That was resolved after a number of discussions with Altru. The other item that was still outstanding was the naming rights for what we now call ancillary, ASC land ancillary areas, streets, roadways, parking areas, sidewalks, grass areas, and undeveloped. That is now, it's been agreed upon that those are still naming rights that the city can grant. It's the land rights, ASC land right naming rights. You just can't name it where it would diminish the naming rights for Altru. So that has been resolved. The next is there were a number of exhibits that were outstanding that depicted the signs themselves on the exterior of the building and where they're located. They're now a part of the agreement that they're at exhibits 3.4.1, 3.4.2, and 3.4.1A. So those have all been now attached to the agreement. The final matter that is still outstanding, and I want to talk about the one that has been resolved or appears to be resolved, was first the building capital expenditures for the signs themselves, really the exterior signs, and there is a proposal that first the city would pay up to $250,000 for those one-time expenditures to replace the sign. Basically, the sign is worn out and it needs to be replaced. Altru had proposed that they would limit themselves to $150,000 per event, or $300,000 over the term of the agreement. Discussions occurred late Friday, and the compromise was the city would pay half of those type of capital expenditures. Altru would pay the other half, but both parties would have to agree to engage in that type of replacement. The one thing I want to remind you of is that this section 3.6.2 does not deal with signs that are replaced because Altru wants to change the logo. That's Altru's responsibility. It also doesn't relate to signs that are changed because Altru's corporate name changes. That's still Altru's responsibility. This is really a situation where the signs just, after 20 years, just need to be replaced, for example. So that was the compromise. It seems reasonable to me. Altru has accepted that compromise, and I would recommend that the city council do as well. The last item that has not been resolved that is outstanding is there are maintenance and repair expenses, changing the bulbs, things like that, that are day to day. We had proposed that the Park District pay the first $5,000 and then anything over that, the city pays. I know the Park District is not a party to this agreement. However, under the management agreement, they are obligated to make repairs and maintenance for fixtures, the ASC building, in the exact identical amount of anything under $5,000. And we have anything over $5,000. So it's absolutely consistent with the terms of that agreement. Also, the naming rights agreement is mentioned as well in that management agreement with the Park District. And the Park District was actively engaged in the negotiation of this particular naming rights agreement because of the fact that they're going to be implicated or have some obligations with respect to the naming rights as well. I think what's being proposed is reasonable. The Park District does not want to pay for any of the repair and maintenance expenses on the theory that, and I think we've noted it, is they're receiving none of the proceeds from those signs. The $10 million is all going for capital. The city has the sales tax ability to offset those expenses, except that sales tax is for capital expenditures. Kind of like the conversation you had earlier today about the Greenway. It's different. Those sales tax dollars are more dedicated to the capital, not necessarily operating type of expenditures. So, and again, this is consistent with what we've got under the operating agreement as well. So my recommendation is to keep the language that's proposed in the agreement that you have in front of you, which is 3.6.1, which Park District would pick up that first $5,000 of those expenses, and then the city picks up the other, anything over that for repairs and maintenance. With that, those are the only modifications that have occurred since last week.
All right, any questions for Mr. Gosted or about the agreement? It's been another one that's been a long time coming. Got a motion to approve as stated by Mr. Gosted, and a second from Ms. Munski. All the Trishas. All right. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.3, application from Listen Incorporated for a gaming site authorization at Parrots Cay located at 1149 36th Avenue South.
All right, Mr. Weigel,
I'm ready to vote.
Got a motion approved from Burke, second from Osowski. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1 with Weigel dissenting and Sandy absent.
5.11, replat of Lot 1, Block 1, TJ's 3rd Edition, located at 5675 South Washington Street.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. Both 11 and 12 both deal with the kind of the same item, but I'll kind of walk through at least what we're asking for tonight in terms of the motion before you, and then maybe I'll try to dig into a little bit of what was kind of discussed a little bit tonight, which was more on the use. 511 is the replatting of the property. The city staff did work through the process of purchasing a portion of that property that's just adjacent to. I'll zoom in here a little bit just on the air photo. Makes it a little bit easier to discuss. The site is just located on the west side of the lift station there. It's on 57th Avenue, just east of South Washington. So we worked through the process of just recently purchasing a portion of that property. This is an existing site. It's been zoned commercial. Currently, it's been in place for a number of years, zoned that way. I think most of the majority of the folks that we kind of heard from tonight are probably in these townhomes that are just to the east. When we talk through a site and the need for an expansion of a yard waste site, I think we went through, it was probably a year and a half to 2 years ago, through the council. I think that staff report is attached, but I think it's important to kind of hit on some of those reasons, some of the where those other locations are throughout the city, and the desire to have a site further to the south. This is the sites where folks can drop off their grass clippings, leaves in the fall, and we try to have those scattered throughout the city. And I think the Public Works Department does a really good job of maintaining those sites that kind of have a long history. I know I heard a lot of concerns about rodent activity and whether or not we keep those sites clear. We have I think you can kind of go through each one of those sites, and our public works folks do a great job of keeping those sites clean and kind of maintained throughout the year. If they receive a call, they're out there almost probably same day, depending on when that call comes in, and taking care of any issues that do come up, if there are any. But I will say, I frequent one that's right next to Veterans Park. It's screened. I think I talked to Sharon, and she's looking to do a similar fence system. It's right next to where the building is at Veterans Park. It looks fantastic. It does a really good job, and these are part of those necessary services. So kind of going back, I think when we looked at this site originally, we had talked about maybe just going on the west side. We already had the land available, but at that time, I think there was a desire to keep those trees in place as screening to the existing neighborhood. So we did want to go to the west of that. We thought it was important. It's about 250 to 300 feet from those sites. So the other thing that the second part of that, so we're going to plat this site and then tie it in with the current lift station. The secondary piece of that's going to be to annex that site as well. So current zoning, as I said, was commercial. That is an allowable use. There's a lot of other things, obviously, that would still be available to be done on this site that's to the west of it. In terms of traffic, I know obviously that's always a concern. One of the benefits we thought to this site is that I think there's going to be people that come and will never probably utilize South 11th Street, because the Washington is going to be so accessible. It's going to be easy to head right back out onto Washington and then points wherever you're coming from throughout the city. So I can certainly answer any other questions. I think I hit most of what I heard earlier. So
sounds good. Ms. Osowski, please.
Yeah, I actually was very surprised to see this many people protesting this. I have gotten calls since being on the council requesting more sites like this. So I guess I was really taken back by how many people protested it. You did answer my question that it will have the same type of gate, because I have one really near my house, and I have to say that the city does an excellent job keeping it clean. I never have any issues. I mean, it's literally 2 blocks away from my house, and I have zero of the issues. And honestly, if you think about it, if we don't allow for a place for people to bring these grass clippings, then they sometimes just build up in people's yards and cause rodent issues right in the residential area. And our city staff does pick it up like once or twice a week. So I was really surprised by that. One thing that was concerning to me, though, is that the church stated that they stated that they were concerned about people using their property. And so I guess I would like to know why they feel that people would infringe on their property when it's way on the other side. It has the nice tree rows. It's by the lift station, which I feel is appropriate. And so, of course, I don't want people going on the church's property, but I don't foresee anybody parking in their parking lot and walking all the way across an empty field to dump their grass clippings. So I'd like to know why they're concerned, I guess, a little bit about that.
I think they're concerned. They were concerned about people using. They were just saying that the park is utilized by people in the neighborhood. That was a benefit. They like leaving their property open and available to the community that's around there. They weren't concerned that people were going to park or go on to there from utilizing the grass clipping site.
Right. I mean, like, is this one going to be larger than the one that's by my house on the north end by the fire department? Or is it going to be equivalent to what I have by my home? I guess I'm just wondering why there's so many concerns about it.
It'll be similar to the one you see by the Purpur Arena water tower.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a diagram. And maybe show the graph of why we're doing it, number one, and then the site itself.
Okay, so it is going to be a little bit of a larger one, huh?
It is going to be a little bit larger. I don't know if it's as big as Purpur, but it's probably more closer to that than some of the other ones. The access will be down here in 57th, directly to the south there. And we'll have that, it'll be just an in and then a back out. And this will be fenced on that north side.
Right.
So make sure that we're not having, that nobody drives across or drives further beyond. And then essentially, I think in the winter, these are really just kind of shut down. I mean, the sites are pulled up, and I think the containers are removed
Are
from the
these
site.
all for just grass clippings, or are they going to have the different, like when you go to the Public Works building, you can put.
And they got it.
Are
They got
they
on the
just
slide right there.
grass?
Yeah, 4 brush and 3 to 4 grass.
Okay,
So,
3
yeah.
to 4. One thing though that I would really kind of like to talk about is it's my understanding that commercial lawn companies aren't allowed to use these, correct?
Yeah, I think there's 3 designated sites. I don't know if this will be one that'll be. Currently, right now, it could be one, but we could certainly have that conversation of where we would designate those to go.
I guess I would like to, especially with the pushback from the citizens, I guess I would like to see it not be one of the commercial ones, then just, see how it maybe goes a little bit better. Because I do think there needs to be a little bit of enforcement on that, as, those are the only times when I ever really see them fill up, is when a commercial mowing or lawn care company comes and dumps a bunch of their stuff in there. So, I mean, because we have video cameras at these sites, don't we? They're recorded now. We have surveillance at all of these.
Mayor Buczynski, not at most of these sites, or maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe we may or may not have video
Is
surveillance.
Ms. Osowski asking for more surveillance?
No, I'm not, but I probably would have voted against that, but I thought that I
A
probably
couple
lost
flock
that.
cameras up there?
No, there are only a couple places in town that there are flock cameras, and we can have that at a different time, and they are not city owned. They're owned by Columbia Mall and Target, so not around the city for the flocks. But I thought that we did have a conversation that we were putting things like
Mayor Buczynski,
surveillance.
I think what
on
we've
sites.
done is if we have a specific issue, we have looked at in selective areas where we
Okay.
are having problems working with our police department.
Okay.
I think the important part is this: is we're annexing this into the city of Grand Forks.
Right.
Just this property, maybe we probably should do the whole parcel, but we're so kind and beneficial, we're not going to annex the other part. So the important part is when this project comes back with plans and specs that where we want to construct it.
Okay.
All these concerns will be readdressed at that point in time. Right now, we've purchased the property. We're annexing it into the city. And at some point in the future, this project will come back with a specific design, operation plan, all the particulars. And similar to surveillance, Sharon and her team has done a great job encouraging commercial folks to go to Public Works, go to the landfill, so you don't, drop off in one yard site location and fill it all up. However, it is challenging. We're not surveilling these sites. Number 2, the commercial folks, their argument is, well, we are mowing people's lawns in the neighborhood and we're dropping it off at this site. We're just doing it in a very efficient way. So there's always a push and pull in this area. And I think there's a bar chart on this presentation that really shows this area on the one on 47th is the highest in demand that we have. It's furthest from the landfill where this yard waste ends up. The simplest thing for the city of Grand Forks and the Public Works to do is to ask everyone to take their grass to the landfill.
I'm not signing up for that. Mr.
Because that would be
Phelan.
the most efficient and effective way. We're trying to balance people wanting
Right.
things near them, but don't put it too near me. So we're trying to balance this all out because we don't want to have one site where everyone's going in neighborhoods, because that's the frustration at 47th at that same pump station by the park. People get frustrated because it's such a large area that we're trying to serve on the south end. And they're pushing back to say, can't you redistribute some of the south end traffic to an alternative location too?
I mean, I don't think it was a bad idea. Like, could we provide the church with the information that they requested on, escalation, if it does get out of hand? And you're always welcome to call me. I would love to help you out if you do have issues. But I am going to motion approval, and I think we can revisit it when we come back to the specs. So.
All right, we got motion to approve, and I know you got a comment. Do you have a second?
I'll second
You have a
with
second? Good,
two
Mr. Ryder,
questions,
please.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Brooks, you mentioned a fence on the north side. When we bring this back, can we also look at a fence on the east side and maybe see what that would cost to help alleviate maybe some of the concerns from the neighborhood? Maybe if it's even decently priced, we look at the west side as well. And then I think Mr. John or Holly, who's ever in back, maybe with the 311, if they can get us the information on how many complaints that we get at some of these dump sites, just so we can kind of have that information.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Weigel. Any further discussions on this item? And then we will have item 513, which is the ordinance to change, or 512. We got a replat, and we also have preliminary approval of the annexation. So this would be on 511. So we got a motion, a second on 511. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.12, introduction and preliminary approval of an ordinance annex lot B, block 1, TJ's third edition, 5675 South Washington.
I move approval.
Got a motion approved from Osowski. Do we have a second? Second from Lunsky. Any further discussion? No one gets in the same vein. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 5.13, introduction and preliminary approval of ordinance to amend 18-0204 relating to townhouse definition, section 18-0209 relating to R2 semi-detached dwelling special conditions, and section 18-0210 relating to R3 townhouse special conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, why don't you just give us some background on this? This is the first time it's came in front of this board. I know this has been in front of planning zoning prior to this, and some work's been done. So give us a briefing.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this one's dealing just with the definitions. So we've had a lot of questions on what it is and what it isn't. It is not going to add the option of putting in a duplex where single family is only allowed today. So zoning is still going to rule on what use is allowed within a certain area of town. So, and we're always available to answer those questions on that at any time. In terms of what we're looking to do, and I think the last speaker kind of hit on it. He was the requester. He kind of came before us, and he talked about building code, fire code, and when those apply and when they don't. And really what he's looking to do is kind of break down our code so that, looking at the way other cities have done it, I think we're looking to strip down our definition. It isn't going to have a direct effect on single family occupied pieces. Those will still require a lot line, potentially, unless they go to the condo route. And so that'll still apply if you're going to need a lot line. We're just not requiring the lot line anymore. So with where we typically come in with the plat. So that's the only thing, is just on the definition that we're stripping down and making it a little bit easier. Excuse me. The biggest benefit is going to be the rentals. This won't have an effect on the single family operators at all. So if somebody's looking to build a row house, they'll still have to go through and follow the same rules. So this particular use is only going to be a benefit to rental. It's not that we aren't trying to take a look at code and help others. So we're always in trying to strip back our regulations potentially if they make sense. And in this case, we have worked with fire, we have worked with building code just to make sure that this potential change was in line with what their recommendation would be as well. So we've had conversations with the fire marshals and their offices, building office as well. So all of those are in favor of this and would not strip down or have them concerned at all with their code. So with that, it's just a quick definition of what we were doing, looking at the definition on the townhome. So I'd stand for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. This was unanimously approved at preliminary at planning and zoning, and then
Yes.
go back to planning and zoning, back to us for
Correct. Yeah, this is going to come back again, and we're happy to sit down with any folks that still have questions on it and try to hopefully let them know what their intent is with this code as well.
All right, sounds good. Anybody got it? I'm going to let someone else go first, then we can go to you, Ms. Wasowski. Do you have something?
I was just going to move approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a second. So a motion Vice President Weigel, second from Ms. Lunsky, and Ms. Wasowski, please.
Yeah, I guess it bothers me about the removal of kind of the lot lines because it isn't forcing people to own these. It is only for the benefit of the developer is the way that I feel. No, you're not going to be able to own them. You're only going to really be able to rent them. Also, I do have some questions about like the actual infrastructure because it did say that, you know, when we eliminate the lot line, then the sewage and the water, they can share that, correct? But do they need, what happens if, like, do they change the size of the pipes then that we're going to start putting on these lots? Because now they're not just accommodating a single family home. Now they are accommodating, you know, one or two duplex, you know, like duplexes. And so I do have concerns about that because if we put in our infrastructure and then they come back and they say, no, this is what we're going to do, are we going to have to tear up that infrastructure and then put in larger pipes to service these? So I have a concern kind of about that and at what cost, you know, that would really be to put in some of those. I'm assuming it's specials, but, you know, we do a lot of pre-development of lots around here. And so what happens if they come and they change it and now they're like, oh, we don't want lot lines and we need all this other stuff. And is there a change in the diameter of the piping?
Well, that's still going to have to requires building code approval. So what we were really looking at is it wouldn't be an individual service this is going to typically be on a row home. Mm-hmm. So in some cases, we're bringing 4 different leads across. You know, if the water's on the opposite side of the street, that's 4 different cuts that go across as opposed to bringing one across and into the building. Again, typically on a rental piece. If they're going to own individually, they're going to want that individual water line anyway. So that's where I was kind of saying it, you know, on the individual, if it's going to be an owner occupied row house, they're going to want those individual lines anyway. It's typically a requirement on that. So
this is only, the road still has the main line. This is just what the lead is to the building. So, I mean, there's apartment buildings that have 120 units that have a 6-inch line. They're going to have the code. All the utilities are just split out. I mean, you still are metered individually. So actually, there's probably a lot of benefits because if something does happen to the pipe, you might have 8, people in the townhome that'll be paying for it instead of one person paying it for themselves. So it'll be sized properly. I think that's the least of my concern on any of this.
And these won't be stacked apartments. We're really talking about those individual townhomes where somebody wants to rent a row house.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I would really like to see, it's going to prevent home ownership then, and they're only going to be rentals, right?
Well, in this particular, it's going to be, what we're doing is stripping back that regulation in terms of that word lot line. Mm-hmm. And so if they could still potentially condo it, and I think that's where that developer is kind of coming in and saying, hey, I just don't want to have to plat potentially because he is looking at one that he's just going to have as rental.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing that seemed a little bit concerning to me is the change in the firewall. I don't know a lot about firewalls, but I know that they're there to prevent fires from spreading. And I would hate to see if we change the code and something happens and, you know, Joe living in apartment B has a fire and then Rachel in apartment C dies in her sleep because of a change to the fire code. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's
Chief
that
Chief
can
Marcot's
happen,
back there.
but-
Good. There's them.
I mean,
would you like to hear from the chief?
yeah, I would like to hear about
Excellent.
the fire safety on these. Because I don't want to have to go back and change it again and after something happens to someone.
Chief Marcotte,
Councilperson
please.
Osowski, Mayor Baczynski, Councilor, members of council. There's actually no change in the code itself. So when you're dealing with life safety codes, whether it be IBC, UBC, NFPA, any of them, they reference, and there's a lot of give and take based off of the construction materials of the occupancy itself and active fire suppression systems. So we're actually not reducing any sort of life safety requirement at all. It's you either have to have a sprinkler system and no firewalls, or you have to have the firewall and then you don't have to have the sprinkler system. So we're actually not reducing any sort of code requirement whatsoever.
Thank you.
So
Do you have any concerns about this?
I
this
do not.
change?
We have been involved in this conversation for quite some time. The fire marshal has made it very clear that we don't back down from life safety code issues, and that's our stance. So we're comfortable with this particular moving ahead with this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, we have a motion second. Mr. Weigel?
Quick question for Mr. Brooks. The one thing that I look at is the diversification of housing units that are being built. People have pointed out we have a lot of apartments being built and we have some single family housing being built. I grew up in a duplex on the north end. And so I don't see a lot of duplexes being built. Can you just talk about what we're seeing as far as maybe building permits being issued for single family apartment and then the townhome or duplex style buildings?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head. I think at least I'll go back the last 5 years. We've been about 100 units on average on multifamily. That's just not enough. But those, I think I can say that almost every one of those is a stacked unit, similar to a stacked unit, so people living above each other. And we just aren't seeing the rentals coming in that are the row houses style. They're typically more expensive because it's not the same density. So you're not spreading out that land cost like you would if you were stacking up. But it is a unit style that I think is would be beneficial. I think there's families out there looking, either they can't afford current or they're, for whatever reason, that's a style that they're looking for. We're not looking to force people into rentals. But if they want to purchase a home, we want to find them a builder. We want to find them a place. We're just looking at about roughly last year, about 60 single family building permits, I think, that went out the door. That's just not enough. I think we're going to break that this year. But I am concerned that it's just not enough. We're just not seeing the amount of people, either interest rates, cost of construction, just not able to buy currently. So we're trying to fix that, but it's getting tough.
Thank you.
All right, we did have a motion and second, if I remember right. All right. Ms. Lunsky, do you have a comment, please?
I just want to say thank you for investing in Grand Forks. I think developers sometimes get a bad rap lately around here, but I think it's very exciting that something new is coming to town.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carries to 5-1 with Osowski dissenting. All right, I believe that's it for action items. So move on to item 6, information items.
6.1, investment management summary as of May 31st.
Thank you. Item 7, approval of minutes and bills.
7.1, your vendor list and engineer's estimate.
Move approval.
Motion approved from Ms. Berg, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 7.2, minutes from June 1st.
And I got a motion to approve. We have a second motion approved from Berg, second from Vice President Weigel. And thank you, Ms. Lundmark. I know you were working very hard on Thursday and Friday to make sure you stayed up on this. So we do appreciate that. So thank you for your work. We have a motion and second as is. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item 8, City Administrator comments. Any comments, Mr. Phelan?
Mayor Buczynski, I got a handful here. I want to give you some updates. We're working on the budget, but we're also working on a lot of other things. So July and August will be relatively busy with other things. We are planning to bring the Ray Richards redevelopment project back to the City Council to your meeting in July 6th. And then with the presentation and update, and then it would go to the succeeding committee of the whole. And as part of that meeting, it'll be something greater than 5 years, so we'll have to have our local government group to get together. So we're getting some dates together on that, but I would anticipate we'd see that come back to you in July and August. And right now, UND is holding off on redeveloping the golf course. They do have bids, but they're holding off until they get some assurance of whether they can move forward with their redevelopment with that. So that's going to be coming back to you in July. The other are industrial projects that we've been working on, and due to all the conflicts in the Middle East, we have 3 projects that we're working on that have gotten some additional support. One is Northern Plains Nitrogen. And right now, due to the Strait of Hormuz and things going on in the Middle East, this country is in a fertilizer undersupply, and what we can get is that overpriced. So Northern Plains Nitrogen has met with us, and they've gotten some positive feedback and support at the national level. So I would anticipate an update probably in the July and August timeframe on that particular project. The other project that's energy related is Epitome Energy, and that's where they're going to crush the soybeans for the ethanol industry. Again, because of energy costs, the value of soybean oil has gone up. So they've gotten some renewed life too. And so I did meet with Dennis Egan and another team member. And so they're in discussions with folks that are in the industry that would be willing to move forward with this project as part of one of their investments. More to come, I think, in July and August in that vein, but that project continues to be worked on and has seen some, positive feedback from the investment industry in that vein. The last project is Red River Biorefinery, which got started before COVID. We tried to start it up. They tried to start it up during COVID, and right now there's a new ownership group, and it's kind of at a standstill right now. We have had discussions about a possible new ownership group that is interested in restarting that project and further reinvesting. And so I would anticipate, if everything goes well, that we may hear more in July and August on that particular project. So three really important projects in Grand Forks that moved forward. And as you recall, the Epitome Energy is, estimated around a $500 to $550 million project. The fertilizer plant is probably a $2 billion plus project. And then we know what the Red River Biorefinery or whatever that local group is, there'll be some additional investments that will have to be made in that particular facility. So lots of potential projects coming back to you in July and August. And I just want to highlight Council President Sandy is not here, but he's working on the housing issue that was here tonight. So he'll be having meetings throughout the summer. And hopefully this fall we'll have some action steps for the City Council to consider in and around the time when you approve the budget. So those are all the things that are going on surrounding all the various matters. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan. Move on to item 9, Mayor and Council member comments. Ms. Osowski, any comments this evening?
Yeah, I have a couple. One, I look forward to all those presentations. Thank you, Mr. Phelan, for that update. Number 2, so I don't know if everybody is aware, but we talk about it often. We have a way that you can report problems on our website with 311. And I think it's really important that people utilize that, because not only is it documented, so if we continuously have complaints about like the same property or the same issue, we can address that properly. And also it just you can see your issue be solved. And so it'll tell you when the issue has been resolved. And I think our city staff do an excellent job at really addressing all of those issues on 311. But, if we don't know about the problem, it really makes it difficult for us to be able to fix. So, if you can give details like addresses and things like that, it just really helps us address some of these issues. So I really encourage citizens, to use it, like the church might be able to use it if we have an issue with the grass. And that way it's just documented and everybody can see it. So I just wanted to remind citizens that that's available. Also, I think the latest news on Sirius is a little bit concerning. I guess I never recalled CFIUS calling them the gold standard, but I wasn't able to find it in anything, so I'm not really 100% sure. But I think we should just continue to monitor that situation. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Osowski. Ms. Berg.
No, thank you.
All right, Ms. Lunsky, any comments?
Thank you.
Mr. Friedolfs?
We have to mention this may be this is her last meeting, right? Is it? Last voting meeting.
Yeah, I guess you got one more on the committee of the whole, so.
Yeah.
We'll
So,
save
I
the-
decided to
we'll
look at
save the round
the
of applause
Theodore
for Mary
Roosevelt
Lund.
comment, the man in the arena, right? It's everyone, take the guts to come up here and do what we do. And it's not always easy and it doesn't make everyone happy, but appreciate everything you've done, even though we haven't agreed on everything. And so appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great job, Tricia. All right, Mr. Veen, any comments this evening?
Nothing. Thank you.
All right, Vice President Weigel.
Just kudos to city staff and yourself, Mayor, on the preliminary budget information. I think if Dana was here, he'd be excited to dig into it and do what we can to keep prices down for the citizens in Grand Forks. And myself, I'm looking forward to it as well.
All right, thank you. With that, I got nothing else. Just want to thank everyone for being here tonight and participating in the process. With that, I look for a motion to
I move
adjourn.
adjournment.
Item 10, got a motion from Osowski, second from Lunsky. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.